Welcome to the Unscripted Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Nicastro. Today, we're going to be talking about the evolution from Internet of Things to Gen AI and beyond, and getting some advice for building intelligent, connected solutions. I'm happy to be joined today by Amir Pazdar, who is the Senior Manager for Intelligent Connected Solutions at Henny Penny, as well as Intelligent Equipment Connected Solutions Leader with the North American Association of Food Equipment Manufacturers. Did all right. Amir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for inviting me to your podcast. I know your podcast, and it's a very valuable podcast in our community and industry. I appreciate it, and I'm glad I'm here. So, as you mentioned about my background, I am the AIoT strategist and product leader. Um, Means specifically about the intelligent connected solutions.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, actually, I started as an engineer many years ago. And the very first product, actually, at the time, we didn't have any AI, but was about the smart meter and how we can connect basically the electric meters. And then I started basically at being on the predictive side, designing the smart sensor for a smart grid to be more predictive about the situation of the grid. And then after my PhD, basically, I started to become a product leader, and not just being away from the engineering part,
Mhm.
but being more on the product and technical product management. So I have been in the home appliance, industrial, commercial appliance industry. And right now, as you mentioned, I am leading the intelligent connected solution portfolio for Henny Penny, which for those of you that don't know Henny Penny, Henny Penny is a leader in the commercial kitchen equipment for QSRs globally. And my team basically designing the next level solution for equipments. As a side, as you mentioned, also at NAFEM Association, I am leading the IECS group, means the connectivity of the equipment. Let's say if your fryer is talking to your grill and they can do some stuff by connecting together. Robotics and AI, agentic AI, and also life cycle management for the products.
Mhm.
These are what I'm doing on a side. Actually, I'm mentoring startup companies, and also I have my own podcast in the intelligent connected solution. So glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And you stay busy, so that's exciting.
Yep.
Now, if you were to summarize the progression of, the connected device space and what's possible with connected solutions from, let's just say, for a point in time, 10 years ago to today, how would you describe what has taken place?
Yeah, good actually. You kind of remind me of my life because I have been in this industry almost forever. And as I mentioned, I started with the pure connectivity. But before even the connectivity was the automation, basically. So the industry started as the PLC automation, and then we had the connectivity, really pure connectivity, like what I mentioned, how we can measure the energy or how we can see the situation of the SCADA system in the power line,
Hmm.
those kind of stuff. Then we got basically after that to the window of the industry evolution that basically we start doing a condition monitoring. So
Hmm.
we added a sensor. It was not just connectivity. We added sensor, and that was a honeymoon for basically big data analysis. And everyone was talking about let's collect everything we can, and then we will figure it out later. So we kind of passed that era, and now we are in the um, AI and agentic AI.
Hmm.
So AI, what I mean basically analyzing that big data that we talk, or the different philosophies basically around it. Can we also do the data collection on the edge side and do the AI analysis on the edge? That's a different story, and that's part of what I'm doing. Also, in one of my last season on my podcast, we talk about the AI and the edge. So if any of your audience wants to hear more about it, they can go and watch it. But
Hmm.
and now we are basically passing just the AI, edge AI. We are getting to the agentic AI means not what you see right now, RAG, LLMs, no, even more than that. Basically, connected telemetry data with the LLM, with the historical data, basically, that we can connect equipment to the agent to the customer. So
Hmm.
that's what we are going through right now.
Yeah. It's super interesting. Amir, if I remember correctly, I think I wrote my first article on IoT in probably 2009 or 2010. And there was, a ton of buzz around the potential of the connection of these assets, right? Um, but to be honest, over the next bunch of years, when I would talk to service leaders, there was sort of a frustration, if you will, of, but what's coming of it, right? What's coming out of it? And to your point, then we get into sort of the big data discussion, right? So now you're gathering all this data, you're gathering all this data. And to me, what's so exciting about where we are and where we're going with AI is how it allows organizations to really make use of it, right? It's this next threshold of intelligence where we can take this data and actually use it to drive value for the business, for our customers. And so, in a lot of ways, to me, AI is unlocking the power of, what IoT was promised to do even way back when. Does that make sense?
100%, and you're absolutely right because previously having a connectivity was a very cool things to have in
Hmm.
the industry. And we had a gimmicky basically dashboard monitoring things. But what was the actual value?
Hmm.
Let's say if in the kitchen equipment industry, I can tell you, if I go to the owner operators or the store manager, having a dashboard doesn't mean anything to them. But
Hmm.
what they can provide to them is a different story. As you also mentioned, AI is going to drive a lot of value on top of that. And to be honest with you, connectivity is a table stake right now.
Hmm.
It's a given. I'm going to CS every year.
Hmm.
And basically, I remember 10 years ago, the discussion was, okay, who can provide you a better cellular service? Who can provide you a better Wi-Fi system or better connectivity? Right now, that is a given. No one is
Hmm.
even talking about it.
Right.
Now it's what we can do with the data. Where should we collect the data? And how we should communicate the insight to our customers. These are the things we are talking right now.
Yeah. And, I think we're going to get into this, but what's so exciting about it is, so once you're leveraging that connectivity, there's, I guess, some benefit to just having a real-time view of what's going on, right? It could allow you to react faster to something going wrong. It gives you information that might help you plan service in a smarter manner, et cetera. But, with this next phase, it really also brings us closer to, all of those predictive capabilities. Now we're able to not just see what's going on remotely, but we're able to leverage all of this data to look ahead and really, start to predict, failures or downtime, and also, to your point, give our customers far more forward-thinking analysis and insights. So really cool. So if when you think about where we are today and sort of what we're on the precipice of, how would you describe the potential that businesses need to be thinking about how to unlock?
Good question. So once we have this connectivity and once we can add the AI capability that we just talked about, like a prediction, um, one of the very first thing I can talk about is rethinking about what we can offer as a product. Because so far the product to us was a metal part or was the AC, for example, for your house. But with all this connectivity, AI, agentic AI, AI on the edge, can we rethink how we are using the products? Look at the iPhone model, basically.
Hmm.
So you are going to buy an iPhone, the data service is coming from your carrier, And Apple is telling you, whenever there is a new iPhone, just bring it. I'm going to change it for you. If there is, they even give you insurance that if something happened to your phone, they're going to fix it for you. So let's for a moment think about it. Let's say for your AC, instead of spending 6 grand, 10 grand for the AC, now you can buy, or OEMs, they can offer a bundled service
Mm-hmm.
selling you experience, selling you a
Mm-hmm.
cool air per minute instead of selling you an entire capex basically to
Yeah.
you. Uh, that's one of the things. I'm not saying we are ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things at the OEM side, customer side, financial institution. No, we are not 100% ready for that. But that is one of the things they can offer. And with all this global competition, actually, with the equipment, that's how I believe companies they can stay ahead of the game and they can
Mm-hmm.
stay in the game.
Right.
That's one part. The other piece that they can unlock or use in many applications is to make a closed loop ROI.
Mm-hmm.
In case of, let's say, operation in the kitchen, I can tell you. How about the system can look at how the staff in the kitchen they can operate, and they can give them the better idea how they can optimize their operation. For
Mm-hmm.
example, are they wasting oil or they're not? Are they wasting energy or they are not? That's one piece. The other piece could be on the ROI side. Think about today, the price of everything is jumping. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say on the wage, on the parts, and as a company that you offer a service, either you have to increase your price or keep the flat rate. How these technologies can help you to to keep the margin that you have today, even
Yeah.
with the jump on the price and on the wage, without basically passing it to your customers, without
Mm-hmm.
changing the price for your customers. How we can use this margin basically to keep the service and stay competitive.
Yeah.
That's the other piece.
Yeah.
One more thing I can tell you is also, specifically for service companies,
Mm-hmm.
and we know 50% of the technicians are over 50 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and they're retiring at some point, and the new generations are coming to this game. And how we can democratize basically the service and field service, and using all this AI technology and connectivity to make the technicians in the field right now to pass their knowledge to the new
Mm-hmm.
generation, and the new generation they can service the devices in a way the seasoned technician is
Mm-hmm.
doing it. So these are the some areas I can think of
Yeah.
that companies they can use to unlock the technologies we are using today and
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah. So I want to reflect a bit on what you just shared because I want to go back to what I think is a really important point for folks to consider. So, what you just mentioned, I'm going to work backwards in the 3 points that you made. So the first one, talking about the democratization of knowledge and how that can help organizations onboard new talent faster, allow them to have access to what they need to go and do the work these more experienced technicians do. Incredibly valuable. I think it's one of the you know first ways companies should be looking at taking action here, right? And I actually just shared today, which won't be today when this comes out, but a story that I wrote with Makino on how they are doing just that. They're taking their historical data, their product documentation, and combining it with AI to completely transform how they hire, onboard, train, and progress technicians. And it's super compelling. The middle point that you made is really around efficiency gains, right? And you made the point of using those efficiency gains to protect margin and offset, the effects that we're seeing on prices and whatnot. Also very important. I think, though, in what I'm seeing right now, that's kind of where people's current thinking is ending. They're thinking about how do we do this to improve efficiency, to save money? How do we do this to get knowledge out there and train people better? But the first point you made is the one that I want to urge everyone to really listen to, which is the efficiency piece and the training piece. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. We really need to be thinking about how will this allow us to potentially overhaul our business model and to do things differently than we have before. And when you really think about some of the barriers to organizations doing what you described, taking a CapEx model and shifting to an as a service model, this technology removes a lot of those barriers. It becomes far more attainable for many companies to consider. And I don't think that people are really allowing their brains to get there yet. And they should. So I just wanted to say, I'm glad you brought that point up and I wanted to underscore it because I think we're focusing so much on those initial use cases around efficiency, not putting enough time into thinking about less of the incremental innovation and more of the potential for disruption. So, um, really good stuff. Now, here's my next question is, in your opinion, how ready are most of today's businesses to go and make these things happen?
Very good question. So, and that's one of the things I don't like companies to basically just follow the hype and think that they are going to be ready to offer a AI-based model and service to their customers. There's different areas. One of them, let me start from the technical part. Technical part, we have to make sure, first of all, as a company, we are ready means that not just we have a team together. There are many companies out there you can buy the technology like agentic AI, but definitely you need have in-house team to maintain this service. That's one part. From the technology, also, I want to highlight that we are talking about the AI. So the very first thing that feeding the AI is the data. So do we have a ready pipeline, or do we have a shared and a standard database and data
Hmm.
dictionary? Because they have an ERP system, they have a CRM system, different systems, and sometimes it's really hard to combine all the data points that we have. So I'm saying from the technical standpoint, if I want to give a score, maybe 7 out of 10,
Hmm.
we are ready, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
The other piece, even more important than the technical part, is organizational ready
Hmm.
and cultural ready. Because once we talked about, for example, look at the hardware as a service or experience as a service type things. First of all, now as an OEM, we should understand this game. As a financial institution, we should understand this game. As a technician, we should understand this game. As a customer, we should understand this game. So organization should be ready as well. We should have a team together. There are some hesitations, resistance in the organization. Let's say, for example, service team, they are afraid of basically the agentic AI is going to replace them.
Hmm.
We need training, we need readiness. We need to basically having a boot camp and train our team to not just know how to implement it, also the cross-functional team to understand what does it mean and what
Hmm.
is the future. And culturally, also our customers should understand what it means and be ready for that. The other piece, basically, I see a huge gap right now. Many companies that they're offering the AI technologies, specifically in the field service,
Hmm.
they are offering the POC,
Hmm.
not necessarily something that is solid, for from the regulation standpoint. And I'm not saying it's their fault because even globally now we are in the era that different countries they are putting the regulations together.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them they are more active, like for example, European Union AI Act, more solid. But other countries, Brazil, for example, they are working on some sort of the GDPR
Mm-hmm.
type AI regulations. US, we are working on it. So that's the other piece. We need to understand that the regulation is not necessarily there, but even once it's there, our product should be compliant with those regulations we're talking about, and make sure also from the implementation standpoint, the model is easy part. But I can give you an example about the resume reviewing technology Amazon was using back in 2018. Probably you heard of it. There was a discrimination that they found basically once this AI technology, the AI stack they have is reviewing the resume, it's going to discriminate between the female and male because the historical data they used to train this model was not
Mm-hmm.
really was biased kind of. So we have to make sure we don't have a discrimination. We have to make sure these models, from the privacy policy standpoint, um, is there. We have to make sure we are not leaking any knowledge that any IP basically we should not leak through the system and be compliant to regulations. So these are another piece. We need to be there to make sure we can release and
Mm-hmm.
we can go live with these technologies.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to offer, advice for organizations on, you know, what are the most important steps to take right now to get ready and be ready to, realize this potential? What would your advice be?
Okay. First of all, one thing to know, I said that many vendors in the game of the AI, they're offering the POC, not the real solution right now. It's not a bad thing. As a company that we're buying this technology or we are investing this on these technologies, we should also understand is a crawl, walk, run. So
Hmm.
we start with the POC, and as a POC, my suggestion is instead of reinventing the wheel or making a new technology, let's focus on what we are doing today. So, for example, we have a customer support. Can we capture what we are doing today, the knowledge base? Can we capture how we handle the phone call, how we dispatch a technician, for example? The crawl is going to be capturing what we are doing today and mimic what can we do with the AI or agentic AI. That's a
Hmm.
crawl to me. The work part is going to be basically make it more automated. Once you're ready your POC, once you know the regulation game, once you know your customer, you basically train your internal team and change the culture in the company. Now you're ready to walk, and you can make it more automated, and your
Hmm.
age agentic AI can do more stuff like predictive, prescriptive that you're talking about. And once you pass this stage, also, you can get to the run phase, which think about it. Once you have a new employee in the company, first you train them, and then at some point you're giving the company credit card to them. That's the run stage actually for the AI. Can you give a wheel to them and can they decide on behalf of you? But we are not there.
Hmm.
Many companies they're not there. They have to first understand the first two phase. The other piece is think about the regulation and compliance, as I mentioned before, as a part of your design, as a part of the very first step that you take. As you are thinking about the POC, as you're engaging your pilot customers, think about what you need to understand from the regulation part and just partner with other agency that they're doing this job because this is what they're doing as a day job.
Hmm.
Um, so think about regulation as not a barrier because some people they think regulation is gonna pause your innovation. I'm kind of thinking about it in a different way. The AI is so new. I understand that regulation is gonna pause some stuff, but you can use it for your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if you be ahead of the game and you can say, I'm compliant with this particular AI Act in Europe. Now you have a lot of customers globally that they select your product because you are
Mm-hmm.
compliant, and everyone they're kind of afraid of what's going to happen with the robotics and AI. So if you can say, no, I tested my product and these are my certifications, now you have an advantage over the other competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing to pass this barrier, kind of I touched on that before, is to train your team, train your
Mm-hmm.
customers, and not just your development team, maintenance team, also everyone in the company to understand what is this game for them. Is it gonna is it gonna eliminate their job? Probably no, but they should understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, once you put the agentic AI as a customer support, what the existing headcounts we have, basically, what are you going to do in the company?
Right.
Most probably, they're going to do more stuff. Like, for example, many years ago, once the calculators they came, people they thought, okay, now they're cutting the jobs. No, that was not the thing. We started thinking about more stuff because now
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to do manual job right now. So these are the things I can suggest to kind of do to better pass these barriers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and begin the journey on the right foot, right? To your point, the especially around the regulatory side, it may minimally pause things. It's also protecting your innovation in the long run, right? So, good advice. When you and I spoke, you mentioned the importance of thinking about how to combine connected data, service history, and machine documentation when you're looking at Gen AI. So, can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. I'm really glad that you mentioned that because again, many vendors in the AI game right now, they are offering a simplified rack system. Let's say you just upload the manuals and technical manuals, and you can start asking questions, and they can answer. That's a very simple, basically, I can put it. This is a smart user manual. This is
Hmm.
not the AI system. But think about it. Again, I will ask about the crawl phase. Think about how we handle the calls and how we handle the situation and scenarios right now. Once you deal with the issue with your equipment, you pick up the phone, you call the customer support, and the customer support, there is a person sitting there, and probably with the 20 years um, experience, um, they know exactly what's going on with your device because they ask you, for example, do you see this? Do you see that? Do you see this symptom on your machine? And and basically they're connecting the data to the phone or
Hmm.
basically asking you to tell them the data. Then they go back with the knowledge base they have. They can tell you, okay, they're telling me I see this thing on the LCD. That's a noise I'm hearing from this component. Now they connect the dots and tell you, okay, based on this page of the technical manual I've seen 100 times,
Hmm.
this is what you need to do. And on top of that, probably you have seen once there's a service technician go to the equipment in a very basic way, they look at the service log on the machine that the last technician they wrote, and they look at, okay, what was the last component they changed on this machine and how many times they
Hmm.
changed it. If this machine is throwing this error all the time, probably the issue is even larger. For example, um, if you see the um, the leak in the machine, not necessarily the seal is bad. Maybe there's a vibration somewhere in the machine that basically caused the seal to break and it started leaking. So these are type of stuff that the human is doing right now.
Hmm.
And once we combine the knowledge base in the company, and once I'm talking about the knowledge base, that is the $1 million question. And I believe no one has a good solution right now. How we can capture what the people understand today without changing, without adding a burden to them. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot go to the customer support and ask them, okay, I want you to sit here, just go through this questionnaire, and spend 100 hours basically a month to just tell me what are the steps people they need to take or agentic AI needs to take. That's knowledge base. The other piece is once you connect knowledge base, connect the data to the system, looking at the documents of the machine, now we can unlock the way that the human think. And on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, once you want to go to the next level, is the device and the operation is getting more complex every day. So tomorrow, you can think as a human, even for more complex scenarios, basically. So that's how I see agentic AI. It's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna replace what we are doing right now. It's gonna understand what we are doing, and it can do the more complex stuff that one headcount cannot do that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see the value of combining the data, historical data, and the knowledge base.
Mm-hmm. So we talked earlier about, the the extreme change in the last 10 years. If you look ahead 5 more years, like what do you think this will look like for the majority of businesses, service-centric businesses?
Yeah. So one things I can see in the next maybe 3 or 4 years or longer, I cannot predict how long, but I see the movement towards that is self-healing appliance basically. Means that the appliance can tell you what's wrong, and either you or the technicians, and they by just replacing part or fixing the part, they're going to continue basically operating the way they're supposed to do. So first thing is more intelligent equipment that basically can talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
and they can they can fix themselves. That's one part. The other piece is on the agentic I see a lot of movements that we connect more agents. Let's say right now we're talking about how we can fix or help the technicians. Let's take a co-pilot type things
Mm-hmm.
that the new technician can go there and fix the part like a seasoned technicians. That's what we're talking. But the way I see it in the future is going to be different roles and different agents talking to each other. Once you get a call, there is an agent that answer the call, and that agent is going to pass or help the customers first. If they cannot help you on the phone, it's going to pass it to the next agent, then order a part that needs to be changed. And that agent is also going to tell the technicians when they need to be on site, and the part is going to be there by the time they are there.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they get there, there is a co-pilot agent that's going to help the technicians to fix the equipment. And then also it's going to be agent that talk to customers after to follow up with them if everything is fine. So I believe, and again, this is me talking right now, and you know how fast this game is going to
Mm-hmm.
change. But the way I see it is going to be more agents with different roles talking to each other in the future. And I want to emphasize, we are not going to replace the the people that we have right now. The system is just getting smarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the game.
Yeah.
And and also the other piece I started promoting even on my podcast is right now we're talking about the LLMs
Mm-hmm.
and the agentic AI as a large language model. Basically, these are the base of it. But the big part of it is the equipment. Once you want to understand the equipment itself, because LLM is going to help you to talk to your customers,
Mm-hmm.
but LLM is not going to help you to understand the equipment. So there's a new concept. I'm just calling it equipment large model or ELM basically.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we model the fryer, how we can model the AC unit basically, And then we understand all the error codes. Then we understand the behavior of this machine in different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can input different features to this system, and we can expect this is what we predict from this model. That's how I can, that's my vision for
Mm-hmm.
the next few years. And that's a big part I'm actually promoting and working on.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Now, when we spoke, you mentioned that you see a lot of companies being in a very conservative place at the moment around this journey. Um, do you feel that is the best or appropriate place to be, and why or why not?
Very good question. Yes, definitely. They need to be conservative because once you look at the, let's say just in Europe, the AI Act, potentially they can fine a company up to 7% of their revenue. So as a company, you have to be really careful of how you enter this game because as a company we have been in the we have been working for I don't know how many years for Henny Penny, let's say from 1950 or 60, I believe. So we can survive for now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean we have to adopt the AI in the next year or two. What I'm saying is we have to be careful how we enter this game. Um, to make sure we understand the discrimination, the fabrication. One of the concern I heard from a lot of companies, because as a part of my task group at NAFEM, I'm talking to different companies basically that are
Mm-hmm.
using AI. One of the big concern they have, some of them they even start doing a POC with some of the AI vendors, and they found out the fabrication is the very big concern.
Mm-hmm.
Means that you expose your agent as a chatbot in your website, and the technicians they start basically asking a question, or your customer start asking a question, what should I do with this error code on the machine? And in a high percentage of scenarios, the system will start fabricating the data. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
it just go to the user manual, find something, but suggest you something that necessarily is true. And as a company, you are liable basically for
Mm-hmm.
that. If something happened to your customers, now you're liable. So we have to make sure we understand that part. We test the model um, in different ways to make sure this model is not going to fabricate the data. This model is not going to discriminate. This model is not going to throw out some errors out there. These are the things definitely it should be in our radar
Yeah.
to kind of pass this thing. Back to your question. So my suggestion is we should not pause. We should just make sure how we enter the game and how we go through crawl, walk, run
Mm-hmm.
in a very defined stages and just be ready for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel for folks because it is a delicate balance, right? Of being ready and not rushing or, taking missteps that yeah, you'll regret. So, for sure. So, beyond what we've covered, is there any other, thoughts or words of wisdom that you have for folks?
Um, the only maybe a few items.
Okay.
One of them is, first of all, be transparent with your with customers and internally. If you're going through this crawl, walk, run, and you are start doing a AI projects,
Mm-hmm.
be transparent and talk to people. Make sure they follow what you are doing and
Mm-hmm.
they understand what they're doing because the last thing you want is the disconnect between your customers and yourself and your internal team.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. The other thing I suggest is don't just fall for a trap of the cool technology. Make sure you understand the ROI and why you need to find a solution for the specific pain points, and then maybe the AI is the solution. That's one
Mm-hmm.
thing I want to highlight because not necessarily AI is a solution to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand what's the pain point and what need to be done. Maybe AI is the things. And also think about it. automation has been here forever. But even right now in the aviation industry, think about it, the autopilot has been forever.
Hmm.
And the plane itself, it can even land safely on the ground. But even today, the pilot is the last person to decide if to engage the autopilot or not.
Hmm.
That's the same approach I believe we have to take. Although we're using the AI, we have to make sure that someone should be in charge of the decision right now.
Hmm.
We are not ready to pass this decision-making authority to the agent today.
Yeah.
That's what I can think of. But again, this is something it's changing every day. Maybe
Hmm.
we come back and talk together in 6 months, and I can tell you more. But
Yeah. Yeah, I would love that. No, Amir, this has been great. I mean, really, really good insight for everyone. And I appreciate you, taking the time and coming on to share. Now, you mentioned earlier your podcast. Can you remind everyone the name and tell them where they can find that?
yeah, sure. And thank you so much for asking. Actually, I have a podcast on YouTube, and if you just type "intelligent connected solution" and my
Hmm.
name Amir, you will see it. And the last episode I had, as I mentioned before, was on the AI on the edge.
Hmm.
I had a very good conversation with Daniel. He's one of the um, main product leader in the Edge Impulse. This is a company basically working on the AI on the edge. He has a book on the AI on the edge. Very good book to read. But anyway, I appreciate the ask. This is my
Yeah.
podcast, so
Okay, great. That's wonderful. And we'll make sure we put the link in for folks as well so that
thank
they
you.
can come and check it out. And like you said, stay up to date on everything because it's changing fast. So
Yep.
yeah, but thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you so much for the time.
Yep. You can find more at the home of the unscripted podcast at futureoffieldservice.com. The podcast is published in partnership with IFS. You can learn more at ifs.com. As always, thank you for listening.